I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, we have the agenda before us, and I believe we had an amendment. I'm going to ask Peggy to read the amendment.
Okay, at 8:36, we had set date for a public hearing on the GO loan agreement and establish a public hearing and discussion date for the general fund loan agreement. We need to reword that and have it say approved resolution number 2015-8, a resolution to fix a date for a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a loan agreement and borrow money in a principal amount not to exceed $680,000. This would be for the equipment part of the LEC remodel. Approve resolution number 2015-9, a resolution to fix a date for a public hearing on a proposal to enter into a loan agreement and a principal amount not to exceed $800,000. This is for the building portion of the LEC.
Everybody get that amendment on their agenda?
Mm-hmm. We do.
Are there other changes or differences of approval? I'd ask for a motion.
I'll make a motion to make those changes to the agenda.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We have minutes from the last meeting on 3/9.
I'd make a motion to approve minutes March 9th. I'll second.
Anybody more? Further discussion? All those in favor of approving the minutes from March 9th say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried, minutes are approved. Are there any comments from the public this morning? Anybody want to say anything? All right. Moving along, then, it's about 8:36, and Peggy, the first item on our agenda is that resolution change. Everybody understand it? We need to read it again. It's all written before you. And the action there, we need to approve those different resolutions.
This came from our bonding attorney and also from D.A. Davidson and Company. I guess the two of them work together to put all this information together. They've given me what I need to get to the newspaper this week to be published. They suggested a date of March 30th, no specific time. We can set whatever time we want to.
Okay, Peggy.
We need two separate actions. Resolution 2015-8 and then 2015-9.
Father, you have questions?
See, this is a loan agreement, so how are we paying the loan?
That would be, for our discussion earlier, we talked about using some community betterment money for so many years. And then on the equipment, on the building. On the equipment, we can use, if we get the Farm Belt grant, and then some cash balance that we had, and we're hoping it doesn't come up to the total that they put in here. I ended up again with it, I shouldn't, I went, oh my goodness, I think that was even higher. But I think it's because what he told me is they try to think of every possible scenario, and put everything in there.
So those two young guys that were here 3 weeks ago didn't know what they were talking about. When they told us that we could put it as a separate debt levy for the building. Oh,
yeah, that part they could.
That part changed, because I run into one down when I was going through at ISAC, and I told him, didn't you guys know what you were talking about? Because you told us it was so simple, we could just put it as a separate levy. Well, the attorneys get a hold of it, and,
Yeah, so it's looking like, to pay the building part back of it,
You gotta take
we
it
would
out
have to
of-
go either out of the general fund or use community betterment money, or local option sales tax money is what you call it. But the equipment can be paid out of wherever. You can use debt service, you could use general fund if you wanted, you could do, with, community
so
betterment.
the debt, resolution 9, then, we can take a debt service levy?
Yes, because that's, well, I'm sorry, 8 is the equipment, 8 you can do that.
8 is the
9
one.
is the building, and you have to use either general fund or community betterment for the building. So the first one is your equipment, the 680.
See, and that's higher than what we thought too, they'd always told us couldn't go much over 600,000, I don't know how we got up to 600.
And they see that.
I know that's the amount to exceed, but they sure as heck better not be spending these full amounts, maximum amount.
Well, yeah.
They see that amount, and that's where we're...
It'll end up being that.
Well, no, I
But
didn't
it
know
will.
that. Rick's gonna be on top of that.
You can tell Rick quit spending.
Yeah, we're gonna keep a close eye on it.
Yeah,
Well,
I remember when it started, weren't we at like 200,000, and then it was like 3, and...
Well, some of that equipment already, Rick's talked to somebody that we can get another bid on. I think we need to get a couple, 3 bids on some of this stuff. It's not just...
And just because it's a new building, we don't have to put all brand new equipment
Like
in.
you were saying the other day, do we need 2 consoles?
No, 'cause that'll go on a dent.
I know it.
And you cut down 12.
And they're bigger county than we are.
Yeah, you went up on that tour, you know, they had a big console, and on another desk, they had a little...
Little computer
desk with a
screen.
computer on it, and that was
Yeah,
their
that was
back.
it.
See, some of these things, we need to be realistic and start
Yeah.
looking at. I mean, there's no
Rick
need...
already got 25,000, 12,000 out of the shed for the...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
By being used, so. I don't think we're getting close to that, but that shows you the maximum.
Well, just like that, furnishings, equipment, you know,
Yeah,
equipment.
they have 47,000 for
Somebody better start
furniture.
telling me what that is.
Well, there's only, gonna be a dozen cubicles in there. And that's not gonna come anywhere near that.
That's 4,000, 3,000 a cubicle, that seems pretty high to me.
Well, you got a judge's chair downstairs, you can...
No, we can't.
Yeah, we can't touch that, can we?
Keep in mind that these will all go to bid.
You're ornery over there.
They have to be bid.
It's public bid.
Couldn't resist, Rick.
Okay, we need a motion to approve resolution 215-8 and set the public hearing for March 30th.
Okay, I'll make the
You gotta
motion.
put a time in there?
You don't have to, we can set it whenever. If you wanna put a time in, we can. It's entirely up to you. He just said to set the date.
I think we might as well get the process moving, 'cause...
Do you wanna grab the agenda? I don't know what times we have
Okay.
open for March 30th.
Harlan and I had jury duty that day, right? Did you get going for jury duty?
Yes. So I got
Why
to
don't we
call in
have
the
the
first of
30th?
April.
All right, I'll make the motion for resolution number 2015-8 for March 30th.
Okay, and what time? We're wide open.
Are we wide open? Should we make it like 8:36 or 8:40?
8:36 or 8:40, each one. Which would you rather use?
What was the
Let's
date?
do 8:40,
What was the date?
March 30th.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor to set March 30th at 8:40 for the resolution and hearing of 2015-8 dealing with equipment. Any other discussion?
Is there a second on that? I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
No.
I'll second it.
Now we have an additional discussion. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now we need to do the same thing, discussion on resolution 2015-9, which is dealing with the loan arrangements for the building, up to $800,000, and we've already established a date there. Same date, I assume.
Yeah.
All right, I'll make a motion for, resolution 2015-9, the general loan agreement not to exceed $800,000 for the building.
And March 30th?
March 30th at 8:45, 42?
Let's...
How much time do you need?
Yeah, let's give, just in case there's people here who wanna discuss it.
15 minutes.
Maybe
15
at least
minutes?
10, I would
I
say.
Okay.
think 15, didn't you?
15?
Yeah, we'll just
Yeah.
be safe.
That's good, okay.
With 8:50?
Okay.
Yeah, let's try that.
8:50?
Yeah.
Okay, we have a motion, do I hear a second?
I'll second.
Second by Harlan. Other discussion on the motion as presented? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
You need some coffee down there?
Motion is carried.
And keep in mind, you know, when we get to the point of the bids and that, if it's not where you wanted it, it's gonna be
Reject them all,
different.
reject it.
They better have good numbers.
Yep.
Okay, we're a little bit ahead, it's gonna go, we'll go down and authorize the chairman to sign health insurance renewal document with IDHTC as we talked last week about, and she said we'd have to put this on the agenda to get final approval.
You bet. We have several documents. We have the, first, the document that sets out what our rates are and showing that we are getting a 0% increase for next year. because we're using some of our postal self-funding balance, that we have there. The second document is for Medicare compliance. It's a, confirmation of our MSP addendum. That needs to be signed. The third document is, the SBC's employer data form. That's required to be signed. And then the last one, the third and the fourth ones are Walmart forms. The last one then is, the fully insured trust renewal options with Walmart, and that needs to be signed. They all get sent into IDHCP, and then she'll return to Walmart for us. They want to have a copy on file also.
I think we had a pretty good discussion when Denise was here last week. Are there other questions we had? She left. I think we're pretty fortunate to have that line.
Yeah.
Any motion authorizing the chairman to sign the renewal certificates?
So moved.
Motion by Harland,
Second.
second by Moore. Other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion is carried. Moving along, appoint Regional 5 Hazardous Material Response Foundation. I don't know what this is about.
This came from Harlan.
Okay.
He received a note from Paige Sickrod, the coordinator with the Region 5 Hazardous Materials, and she says she does not have a director named for our county to serve on the newly formed Region 5 Foundation. If possible, could you forward the name of this person to me along with a copy of the minutes reflecting this choice? Needs to be done by March 20th, so.
That's one of our board members? Can that be anybody in this county?
It didn't say. Qualifications would be membership on the LEPC board.
So that would make myself, Mort, or Pat.
Okay.
Mort's my alternate. And what it is we're trying to raise some funds from, you know, like, the ethanol plants or whatever, or equipment and so forth, if they wanna give us funds, that's what it's for. So it'd be above and beyond our dues, so to speak.
You like that kind of job, wouldn't you, Mort?
I've been to the meetings before.
You should know what's going on there. Sounds good. Somebody want to...
Well, I'll nominate Mort Christensen.
I'll second it.
Okay, we have a nomination to appoint Mort to the Region 5 Hazardous Board. Other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. Congratulations, Mort.
Another meeting.
Okay, one more thing. Authorized chairman to sign contract with Henry M. Atkins and Son for election equipment. Peggy, you got some info on that?
You bet. They sent me the quote that we discussed when we were in budget session. Get back to that real quick here.
2 years to pay for it.
Yeah, this was really nice.
Yeah.
Total bill was $137,160 for 15, precinct, machines. Are called OVOs now instead of AccuVotes. And then 15 of what we had was the Automark to handicap piece, and now that's considered an OVI-VC. Those can be paid for, they give us $11,910 as trade-in for our old machines, which isn't much, but it's better than nothing at all. Most people are saying they're not getting anything for their old machines, so they're just having to try to resell them or whatever they can do with them. I'm sure if they went to auction, they wouldn't get much, or wouldn't get even probably this much out of them.
I use them for parts for the ones that haven't switched over, my guess.
That's, yeah, basically what they do.
Yeah.
So the $125,250 would be split out over 3 budget
3
years.
years.
So we can pay for it interest-free over 3 years.
The life expectancy of these machines is 10 years, maybe?
Well, they say on most voting equipment, 5 to 8. So when we've pushed the ones we've gotten now, almost to 10, so.
We got these after the Florida hanging Chad, yeah.
We had the touch screens for a while, which I absolutely loved, and then they kinda, the Secretary of State said,
Couldn't use those.
we couldn't use the touch screens, so we had to switch to these. So we had touch screens probably for 1 year, maybe 2, and then we had to switch.
Those were easy.
Yeah, those were nice.
They were nice.
They said they were too easy to tamper with. I don't know, with the regulations we have on elections, and the oversight that the auditor's office has, and the election officials that are there, I have no idea how someone would even get any
Tamper with them.
access to them, but that's what they said.
Well, we get them paid for, then we start looking for new ones.
Yeah, so it seems like.
Yeah, exactly.
Anybody care to make a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to authorize chairman to sign contract with Henry M. Atkins and Sons Incorporated for election equipment. Good for payment plan over 3 years.
Second.
Okay, Harlan, other discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried.
I thank you very much, and so will the election officials, but now when there's a write-in, it'll be done, anybody that does a write-in will come in and write on the tape, so they won't have to search through all the ballots to try to find the write-in. It'll be very nice for them. Probably, well, I'd say half of the people that own the Atkins material or more have already switched over to the new equipment. So it'll be one of the last.
So these will be ready for what election then?
I'd like to try them out for the city or the school, I'm not sure which
This
one,
fall.
coming up this
Really?
fall. Yeah, I told them that I didn't wanna have them until after July, because we just got too much equipment in the basement, we gotta get that all cleaned out, first before I get the new ones in.
You have to have a test run before you have a big election.
Yeah, 'cause I didn't wanna use them for the very first time in the primary next year, because that's too big of an election to try something brand new. for the
Yeah,
first
your
time.
problem's that one's
There's just
good.
too many things.
Come on, Peggy.
You wanna try it out at a smaller election and just
Can
get
you
it.
program these, or do you gotta send it in for them to?
Still have to send it in the program.
They still program.
Yeah, they take, instead of, the old ones had a little card that was about like this, that slipped into them, these will be a special kind of a flash drive that goes into them.
Very good. Well, I suppose we better go into drainage and handle the next item here, 9:50. Anybody care to?
I'll make a motion to go into drainage. Second.
Second. Second to go into drainage. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We're on drainage for one item.
And we'll get you to sign all these later.
He's gonna get a hold of Trish for me. Call her when Rick got in town.
Yeah.
We'll whip her right through this. You guys can go back and look for 9:30.
I'm disappointed Jacobson's not here, he'd have a whole cyclone cheerleading out there now. I tell you that's remarkable though, to come back on those teams that many.
Oh, yeah.
And good doing that, they could be a team of destiny.
Iowa State, don't go up by more than 15.
Yeah.
Everyone that starts beating Iowa State by 15 in the second half, they end up losing.
Yeah.
Oklahoma did it twice, Kansas did it twice.
Yeah.
Okay, we're in drainage.
And Trish, we have to appoint an appraiser and a commissioner.
2 each.
2 each.
Yep.
Drainage district number 6, lateral 1.
And it should be 6 lateral A1, sorry,
6A,
A1.
okay. Anybody got somebody in mind, did you get suggestions?
We talked about it last week, and we were talking about Bob Lynch
Yeah.
and
Because he was out of
David
the area.
Huntermark.
I'll make a motion to that effect. You want them for appraisers and commissioner both, right?
Yes, please.
I would make a motion to appoint both Bob Lynch and Dave Huntermark for the appraisers and commissioners for DD6 lateral A1.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to approve the 2 gentlemen just mentioned, Bob Lynch and Dave Huntermark, as appraisers and
Commissioner.
commissioners. Other discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay.
We thank Bob Lynch, he'd be a new first time, he said he would help us out, which sometimes we need this because we've got conflicts of interest in these areas, and that's what we kinda ran into here, so. Thanks, both of them.
Okay, those opposed, say aye. All those, the motion is carried. All right, anything else in drainage you got for us, young lady?
Rick just asked me, Peterson,
Yes.
asked me about, putting together a list of work orders that are open right now for letter, the different areas of little things to clean up.
Just so we know what's out there. Talk to a few people and see if I can find somebody to do them.
How we come out on our list from last week, any progress on that?
Yeah.
We started, didn't we? We sent a letter out.
Yep, I got a letter to Davis's,
We worked on that together and kinda got something to them. Hopefully we get a response.
Have you heard anything on, what is it, 103 east of Bode there? They were gonna put in that main, they didn't get it done last fall.
Was that, Mansfield that
Yeah,
was doing that?
yeah.
I haven't heard a word on that.
I'm just wondering what you've heard on him.
I don't even know who to call. Who was in charge of that?
Mansky, I suppose,
I have the plans for it. They sent me a plan sheet, but I,
John and Rich Olson are the foreman, and, Don Wagner, that's part of it.
I had a chat with Doug Marshall Saturday. He'd been out and looked at that bulkhead out there.
Yeah, he said he was heading out
And he says he's gonna have to wait for it to get a little drier
there. Yeah.
before he can get in there and do something, but he figured he could get her done
on six.
on 6, yeah, that bulkhead on 6.
Good to know.
So at least he's been out there and took a good look at it.
Rick got all the
Good.
specs for him, for
Right.
pouring the concrete.
Yeah, I figured it's a little wet out there, 'cause that's pretty low yet, when the water runs off the surface.
Now, I did talk to Brian Yemland on that, and he said,
Oh, okay, on the dirt, or the
Yeah.
dirt pile.
if he wanted, he still has some leveling to do, when it dries out, but he said if we want, we can still have him backfill at the, bulkhead,
Okay,
or do we just want or Marcel to do that? I mean, Doug's gonna be there with his stuff anyway.
I think what do you think? If Doug is a contractor building that, he probably would want to backfill. I think
Yes.
I'd have Doug, wouldn't you?
Yeah, just for the timing's
That's
sake.
the way I would look at it, 'cause, you
I
know,
think it's
if there's a problem where the wall moves.
Yeah, he pushes too much in.
Now we get two contractors in there, then we got problems too.
I think that sounds logical.
Perfect.
Yeah.
He didn't really specify about moving the junk, but sits out there.
Yemlin didn't, or?
No, and that was my biggest question.
What is it, like broken tile and rock, or what is it, Jerry?
It's gotta be hauled somewhere. Yeah, some of it's broken tile from the old main they took out to reroute it and put the plastic part in,
okay.
so. I think Doug would do it, but then that, now, see there again, is that part of the cost of the tiling project? Or because we took that bulkhead out and that was a separate, I think we need to talk to Rick, who, you know, is that part of Yemlin doing what he did for the contract, or is it something additional charge because of the bulkhead?
I can ask.
If it's part of the tiling project, Yemlin should be responsible for removing it, shouldn't be another bill, it should be part of the bid, shouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think we need to find that out. And if it's not, and if it's because of the bulkhead and that's separate from there, well then, I mean, it's kind of a combination of both. It's parts of that bulkhead and tile that they took out, but it was also part of the tiling project, so.
Now, Peterson is going to fix the places that need repairs, like, where did I say, tools, lynches, and some other ones.
See, it was,
West of Dave Oates' place was one of them, on 2 Lateral I.
it was good we got on this last week, 'cause she called them, and they got guys that are getting unemployment, looking for work, so this is perfect. Get somebody in there early,
Cleaned up.
'cause by June, then they don't wanna do it, so, yeah. Good.
Rick called just a while ago too and said that he's gonna be working with the commissioners for reclassification on 2 and 11, possibly today or tomorrow.
And did we get those
Well,
last
that's something
certificates
right now, getting in them figures.
in your hand, or whatever?
Yeah.
Not yet?
No, I'll ask him about those.
Yeah, he's got another week. We'll see what he has, he better have done.
Yeah. Keep waiting, keep bugging. Other than that,
And nothing new on the railroad. They haven't, of course, paid.
they haven't responded
Responded at all?
to my letter, my notice I sent of reclassification, which
Okay.
is next week,
They'll probably just show up, more than likely, if they wanna be here.
hopefully.
You think they will?
They might.
I hope so.
How much was their bill after we redid it, roughly?
I
54, 6,000 maybe?
So they gotta reduce quite a bit.
Or 80-some thousand.
Yeah.
So,
30,000 to redistribute between everybody.
How
yeah.
do you get that back to them? Next year?
Had to re-levy.
See, it'll be an additional charge for the landowners. See, and they never paid, so they aren't out nothing.
Anything else from our good drainage clerk on Monday morning?
I'm good.
Any other questions of Trish? I entertain a motion to go out of drainage.
Second.
All those in favor of going out of drainage, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Motion carried. See you, Trish.
Toodaloo.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thanks, Trish.
Thank you.
Always kid her about Monday morning. She always likes Monday morning. As soon as we get a recorder back in here, Max, I think you'll be front and center. You're gonna come up to us, start setting up.
You bet.
Max, I think you got to pronounce your L's here. Alex.
Just like the big, only with a G.
All right, we'll remember that. Max is here to discuss our solutions, and Peggy likes solutions, so I hope you
Oh,
keep her
you want
happy.
the speed up?
Yeah, what the heck. If I've got electricity here, I'll put this into a screen.
You bet.
Do you know where the electricity's at, Peggy?
Yes, I got a plug in right here, there's...
Isn't there one down here?
The other
One down there,
one.
isn't there one inside the door there?
Yeah, I think you have to open the door.
Thought there was an outlet in.
There it is.
Yep, okay. That'll work.
You came down from Spencer?
Yep, I did.
Nice railroad all the way.
Well, I live by Gillett Grove, which is about 15 miles southeast. And it was great, didn't even see one live deer. Well, on my land I did, but not on the road, thank goodness.
We got time to take back, and you like it.
No, I don't want to take them back.
Move around a little bit more.
Yeah.
Not if you were going to.
We can get all this set up quick. I've only done this 30 times so far this year. I have about 15 more to go.
Billing for drainage, whether you put additional information on
Yeah,
forward, forget somebody remember.
yeah, that's a question we had for him. Hey, could you call Kevin Smith?
I didn't.
He asked what, or he was trying to find about that donation, I said, well, you're not gonna have those.
Besides, I didn't use that word.
Okay, so maybe you might have to talk to the Yellowstone.
Yeah, when you explain the reason, he understands.
Yeah, I just say, look, you just can't, you're not gonna be close.
How many more times you have to set this up this year?
Probably 50.
50 more.
Yeah, I'm getting pretty good at whipping it apart, putting it back together. As long as this thing works, this is the main one that is the projector. But you guys have a TV, which is really nice, I could
Yes,
always run it
we
to
can
that
do
if I
that
had to. So just in case she doesn't wanna work today. Then we've got an out.
You got a backup to that.
Yeah, that'll work.
So you're gonna get to 80 degrees like they say on the radio this morning?
Yeah, sounds like it.
Well, that'd be great. Then
Predicted, well, I saw anywhere between 77 and about 82.
Jerry will be out driving up and down the road
Ooh,
with a
that's
pump on
another whole issue with air conditioners. When they
Yeah.
go and they have to clean it.
But the rest of it, we
Yeah.
they look good.
We'll need a, cool front coming through.
Oh, I get to do that work this year.
That's another, mine has been on for the last 2 years, I've been baby it along.
Got one more.
That worked pretty quick.
Well, sure, but nice, or size, get them up out of the way.
I wonder if the Westgate is better.
Want the lights on or off?
Well, it's still early in the morning, we could probably turn them off. When I do these in the afternoon, the boys usually fall asleep, yeah.
How's that?
That'll work perfect.
That scrub right there.
Yeah, huh?
No.
Should be okay, I
There's
think.
about 7 of those weeds that things you've got around here, sticks in those weeds.
You got
You know,
the...
what people, I think he's doing it too.
Well, that's turning on, I can hand these all out. And I've got spares for press, if you wanna just take one and pass it down.
Here, I got two.
Okay, okay.
Last man gets passed to the press.
No, I think I brought, no, press also. All right, George, it's gonna work. All right. So first of all, my name is Max Elg. I'm the Vice President in charge of operations at Solutions. I started at Solutions in the year 2000. Left from 2006 until 2011, started my own business, which Greg, the owner and president of Solutions, actually had invested in, so I never really left far. But we wanted to do something totally different with me in that time frame, so we did for about 5 years. And then in 2011, he purchased my company, Nookshook Technologies, and brought me back as the second in command at Solutions. I started off as a technician. I remember putting in the first service here at Humboldt County years ago, so I've gone the whole gamut. I know all the different facets of Solutions, inside and out. The only thing that I will tell you is I am not a programmer. I do not know how our programs function. I can get around in them if I have to, but people like Peggy, who work in them all day long, every day, really know the programs inside and out. She works primarily with our programming staff and our application support staff. So I'm going to explain to anyone who doesn't know who we are, first a little bit of history. We were incorporated in 1986 for a technology company that is bizarre. We're going to have our 30th anniversary here very soon, next year in fact. Most technology companies last between 5 and 15 years because it changes so much. And if anybody out there in the street tells you that county government never changes, just smack them. You have my permission, just tell them. I'll still vote for you if I move over here. Of all of the IT industries that are out there, county governments, state and county governments are changing the most IT structure-wise and the demands that are being placed upon them. Even more than financial and banking, from our understandings, from the magazines that we read and all the information that we get from our vendors. So we were formed, and we began with supporting 24 counties with just software applications for the major offices: auditor, assessor, engineer, recorder, and treasurer. That's what we started with. Since then, and this is actually a little bit old now, this was done in January when I first put this together. But it says we're actually doing 45 counties. We're actually 46 counties now. We just sold our first county in Nebraska. It took me 2 years, but that's done. I have 3 more waiting in the wings to make sure that that's working correctly in the first one, and then we'll actually have about 49 counties in Iowa and now in Nebraska also.
Were we one of the first 45?
You were one of the first 24.
24?
Yep, you were one of the first 24.
I remember starting when Monica was in charge.
Yeah. Yeah, so you guys have been using our software Node inside and out since almost the beginning. I think you were one of the original 8 that Greg actually did some programming on.
So how many of the 45 have IT staff?
Of the 45 that have IT staff, there are 3 that have full-time IT staff, including a director and actual people who work under him or her. The rest of them have what we call smart hands or smart eyes. There's someone in an office who might run around and do all the different things in all the other offices, but their primary job function is to stay in the auditor's office or the engineer's office. So not a lot of them have dedicated IT staff any longer, which is interesting, it's very interesting for us. Now, over time, since we started in 1986, we have really changed, and that's one of the reasons why Greg bought my company and brought me back. He saw the huge change that was happening not only in county government, but also in solutions. And as we do these slides, you're going to start seeing why we're doing what we're doing. We're breaking ourselves into two companies. Still one big company, but we're physically breaking ourselves into two companies mentally and how we actually approach different people. Our primary business since 1986 has been providing application software. We call that side of our business Solutions Government Services, or SGS. You might start seeing some of those things coming from us in email blasts or whatever. Our SGS side says this, or our blogs, we have a new website coming out, all those different things. You're going to see SGS, that's our government services, our software, our core products. But our secondary business, and the one that's been growing a lot for many reasons, provides hardware, software systems, and services for local government that we don't write. Microsoft products, all the SHIELD products for county government sheriff's offices, lots of different things. But we specialize in everything for county government. 90% of our business comes from county government. 10% comes from the private sector. And the only reason they do is because some salesman sold them at one point and they're now using something of ours. But 90% of our stuff comes from county government. The folks at the top are a bunch of programmers. Peggy mentioned Monica. Monica's the fourth one over from the left at the top. Monica Peterson, she used to be married to Greg Davis, and was one of the founders of the company. Chuck Pitts has been with us since the beginning. Allison Herman up there has been with us for 20 years. Joel Rose has been with us way too long. Joel is a great guy. Yes, Marge's husband. Yep. In fact, Marge used to work for Solutions before she became an auditor.
Treasurer's, wasn't she?
Yeah, she was a treasurer's application support. And then we have a young man up there, Sam Huffman. He's a new programmer from Nebraska. And then Steve Launderville, he's in charge right now of doing a bunch of auditors' work and a bunch of payroll stuff that he's working on. Down at the bottom, we have Mark Hahn, Mike Barr, Cody McCall, Stephanie Croft, who you'll hear me mention quite frequently, Kevin Brown, Scott Ricks, and Marty Nielsen. They're in our technical services department, our tech serve. So we're really two companies. Everything that we do internally now is broken down into two companies. How does this affect this company? How does it affect this company? To the point where, starting as of March 15th, which is today, I do believe, yesterday, God, I can't even keep track of this any longer. We're actually physically moving our technical services department out of the building that we own, and we've leased space for them to grow. We just put out advertisements for 4 more new technicians, and we hired an outsourced company out of Canada for another 8 technicians. So we're really growing that side of the business, but they're physically going to be out of our hair, if you want to put it that way, and yet we need that business to grow kind of by itself without programming intervention. So just so you're aware of the fact, SGS application software, these are some of the programs that we have written for the Assessors Administration. These are some of the software programs that are written for the auditors. And the bond gets...
Back up one.
I sure can.
Down there on the bottom left, you got drainage accounting.
Yes, drainage accounting.
You know, our drainage clerks met with some of your people, I think, at the December meeting.
At the auditors meeting? Oh, sure.
No, it was at the
School of Instruction?
IDDA
IDDA.
in Fort Dodge.
Okay.
Some of your people there. We get a problem, a farmer gets an assessment for drainage, and it says here in Drainage District 7, you owe $300. They don't know what was done. The farmer doesn't, if he hasn't been involved.
Sure.
So we want some way for you to be able to put on that piece of paper what
if
is
it's clean out, or tile repair, or ditch bank stabilization?
Well, I know on those forms, before we print them, on the screen, I can see it in my brain, on the screen, there are places that are called miscellaneous files, and what we probably have to do is dedicate some miscellaneous file that says, this is the work that was done, show this on the report. So if you've already worked with our programming staff or application support, they're probably working on that right now. They haven't told me about it, but, yeah. And that's the first that I've heard of it, but...
Yeah, I can understand.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but if there's a request like that, always make them, because, yeah, as easy as we can make it for the end user, the guy who's gonna pay the taxes or dispute the taxes.
Yeah, 'cause some of these people are out of state even, they don't have a clue what this stuff is for.
Exactly.
At least then it gives them an idea, or they can call back to their tenant, has work been done in our drainage district? And they can...
Is there somebody out there working on it?
Yeah.
Exactly. Yep. The other thing is, if you guys are looking at doing any software purchases, remember, keep it in the back of your brain, January through March, the end of March, we give a half-price sale. Greg doesn't usually say anything about it, it's just kinda like one of those unspoken things that everybody kinda forgets about, but I go out and tell people, if you need one of these packages, buy it now. You don't even have to pay for it until July 1 if you don't want to. We don't really care, but take advantage of that, if there are any packages you need, half-price sale. Yeah. And I'm gonna try and make sure that I get out and send out something to everybody and remind them of that on a yearly basis, because Greg was just, he's got so many other things going on. We also do all the information for the engineer's office. For instance, DOT accounting and DOT payroll are totally different than your current existing auditor's payroll. They use totally different fund numbers, and things are reported to the state for DOT totally differently. But years ago... But years ago, we actually wrote an interface to bring all the information from the DOT accounting over into the auditor's payroll, and we call that Automagically, so that they don't have to do double entry. It saves a lot of time. We also work for the recorder's office, and now we're doing claims by department for the CSM project. Now, if it shows a green, or shows a gear up at the top of these are something that Greg said I had to cover, and we're gonna go right on past that. I will have to, for Greg's benefit, what it is very technical information, and most boards of supervisors are not gonna understand the technical ins and outs of an integrated operating system. The nice thing to know is that the I-Series that you guys purchased from us is not old technology. It is old technology, but it was written correctly. It was 64-bit before Microsoft or anybody else ever became 64-bit. It uses technology that is so advanced still to this day that when you put a Microsoft server against an IBM AS400 server, there is no comparison. We did a comparison last year when we actually did a demo for a company. The I-Series has one processor in it, and it has 4 cores in that processor. We turn off 3 cores because you don't need them. It runs on 4 gigabyte of RAM, or 2 gigabyte of RAM, depending on your service. RAM and access memory. The whole thing is a relational database. The whole operating system is built on a relational database. So it interacts a totally different way from a Microsoft server. We put ours against a Microsoft server. Actually, when we started the project, it was just one Microsoft server, because we said, let's just compare apples to apples. Well, it took 4 Microsoft servers, each running 4 core, and each running 64 gigabyte of RAM. That is way, way, way more than we would ever recommend you ever use on an I-Series to run our software. We ran the identical query of a actual advanced query and said, I want to know this information, this information, this information. Give it to me in this format so that I can display it in a PDF file. We programmed it in both, we hit the button, it took 22 minutes for the Microsoft servers, 4 of them, it took 2 minutes for the IBM series. Boom. You tell me what's the old system, and which one works better, and I'll start arguing with you. It's great. But that's our software side, our SGS side. TechServe, on the other hand, is working with many different things, and you'll get the picture here in just a second. We work with SHIELD in the sheriff's offices. We work with Vanguard, Sidwell, Schneider, Midland, all the mapping software and services that are out there. We work with GIS services, Esri ARC systems, we work in the engineer's office with the AutoCAD files, and now we work with ProLaw. We are actually the reference provider whenever someone gets a ProLaw installation to make the county attorneys work in the state programs together cooperatively. We're the company that they call to do the service work for that. iVoters. Solutions used to have an iVoters package. We sold it, we maintained it, we wrote it, we did everything. State came along and said, no, we're gonna do a better job. So, okay, fine, so we bowed out, and we stopped selling our software, or supporting it, or maintaining it, or working on it whatsoever. State spent $4 million on the project, turned around, got done, said, okay, great, looks nice, let's implement it. And the company who wrote it for them said, oh, we don't implement it, we just write it for you. So, the state kind of sucked it up a little bit, ate a little piece of crow, and called up Solutions and said, can you install this software? I mean, we took it away from you, but can you install the competition software? And what's it gonna cost us? I said, yeah, let's start with just a 100-hour contract, statewide contract, let's see what we can do, and we think we can get it done. So we didn't argue with them, we didn't point our fingers and go, stinkers. We should have, but we didn't. So they bought a 100-hour contract. They used 30 hours of the contract and we were done. Done. Finished. We tried to give the money back. Good luck trying to give money back to the state. Once they've allocated the funds, they can't take it back. But they were impressed. They were very impressed that we could actually do that. That was our technical services side. Next, along comes ELSI, or Rivers, which is the state deciding that the recorder's package can now, all the hunting and fishing licenses and recreational vehicles should be done from the state level at the county level. Once again, they took away Solution software. What did they do? They turned around again and said, hey, Solutions, yeah, we know we took the money right out of your mouth there, but could you install this for us? We don't have anybody who can install it. So we did that for them also. We're doing the same thing now with CSN. So as you can see, my point is, very simply, as the state decides to do a state program and have more control over county government, they take the county government software that's already been in place for many years and take it away. That's my company. So we're trying to find other things that we can do, such as technical services, to stay a viable company. Because if they keep taking our software away from us in their infinite wisdom, we're going to end up with auditors, assessors, engineers, recorders, and treasurers, and that's it. And we keep hearing that the recorders are the next thing that's going to go away completely from us. And it's, state involvement is always a kind of a pain as far as we're concerned.
I'll throw in a bad dirty word, what's Tyler?
Tyler is one of our competition.
Okay.
You know, it's a company that's competition. They are a national company, and I will not speak ill of them, except to say that we have better stuff.
There you go. Yep, they're not bad, you're just better, right?
That's right, absolutely right. They're not bad. The problem is that we have heard from our customers, not from our perspective, from our customers though, is our support is superior. Our programs are superior, they don't have to call us as much for support. But when we call support, our average time for application support for our software is 2 minutes. It takes 2 weeks sometimes for Tyler to get back. That's what we've heard, and I don't mean to be disparaging at all against Tyler. I'm sure that that's inflated when they tell us about it, but on the other side, our technical services was getting as bad as 2 weeks. It would sometimes take us 2 weeks to get back to a customer on our technical services, and we fixed that, which is great. You guys are a managed services customer, but what does managed services mean and how does it work? To set this into perspective for you real easily, you buy a computer. Anybody here buys a computer, and we don't care who you buy it from, whether it's Dell or HP or IBM or Lenovo or Apple. We don't really care any longer. But 6 months, a year, 2 years, 3 years, that computer breaks. Very simply, it breaks. Something happened to it, either hardware or software. You call us, or you call whatever provider you're working with, and you say, it broke, can you fix it? That provider says yes, it'll cost X to fix it. You decide if you want it fixed or replaced. If you decide to have it fixed, they fix it, they send you a bill, you pay the bill, boom, you move on with life. That's the way IT has normally worked forever. We're slowly changing, especially with all the things that are happening around county government, to a more proactive approach, which is, we know things are gonna break. You can buy a brand-new Cadillac, drive it 10 miles home, pick up a nail in your tire, and have a flat tire in a brand-new Cadillac. Things are gonna happen. There's a four-letter word that goes along with that, too. Things break. It happens. But if we can be as proactive as possible and make sure that the spare tire is up to date and good, filled with air, ready to go, that you've got some kind of a backup program to use or to call or help somebody can come out and help you change the tire, whatever it is, those are called proactive methods. We've invested quite a bit of money in proactive systems on our equipment while we're managing your equipment here. Even though you may not see that, we've gone into a very proactive mode. The software that we are using, and we just upgraded and spent a bundle on, was our on-site managed services software. It includes way more utilities and monitoring for our people to look at. That software is installed on your servers and on your hardware here so that we can monitor it 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. It inventories, keeps track of errors, and the new things that are happening with it are trends and performance data. Now remember who Solutions is. We're a relational database company on our SGS side. It takes all the information that we get from this software and it dumps it into a database. So our technicians can go, oh, this is what it's telling me. All kinds of information is coming in, but if we can't use it, it doesn't matter. A perfect example of this is one of the companies that's beta testing this with us actually had a very good full-time employee working in one of the offices. They had another office where that person quit, but it was just a half-time. So they said, with this person who's full-time, they really couldn't justify keeping full-time in that position, like to go half-time over here and half-time over here. It happens in county government quite a bit. That would work out great. Sounds good. So she left this office in the afternoons and went over and took over this office. This office was very quiet. There wasn't a lot of need to have someone there full-time and even part-time. But as soon as we put that person in there, or the county put that person in there, trending and analysis from the performance data showed us that on Monday after she started, internet was at 100 meg in the morning and 400 meg in the afternoon. And all the techs kind of went, well, it could be updates of some sort, some program got updated somewhere, it's nothing major. Tuesday, it jumped to 800 megabyte in the afternoon. And they started going, okay, what's going on? Well, we'll check it again tomorrow, just in case it is a spike and it comes back down. Wednesday, it was 1,200. And we started getting calls from the county, from other offices going, our internet's running really, really slow. We can't communicate to the state. We can't do anything. It's just, what's wrong? We called the ISP. They had us reboot the modem. Everything is just running really slow. So we said, let us take a look at it. We'll analyze the data, and we'll get back to you tomorrow morning. Now, Solutions had an obligation to answer this simple question: why did internet get so terrible? What we found was, and we decided not to be the policeman, but we could have been. We could have been very mean at that point, but we decided that's not our job. We found out the person who was full-time over here and was now half-time over there and went over here in the afternoon had absolutely nothing to do in that second office. So she sat and watched Netflix all afternoon. So Solutions went to that county and said, listen, we didn't, nail her on it. We said, you have an employee who is underutilized. We need to have more training, and we need to have specific jobs given to this person in the afternoon. She's a great employee. I've known her since 2000. But she had nothing to do. So then we approached her with the board and said, we can't watch Netflix movies all afternoon. You're starting to affect the rest of the county. She said, I don't know what to do. And we said, exactly. So the Board of Supervisors and the person who had been there came back and said, here are a lot of things that you can do so you're not watching movies all day long. So we made a bad situation a good situation, not by being policemen, but by actually being able to gather that data and analyze it correctly for the benefit of the county and the employees. So we're never going to be a policeman. All of our techs now are starting to learn how, or have learned how, to write scripts. This is very, very important to be proactive. If I was a traveling musician the majority of my life, and I learned very early in life that if I went and did a performance someplace, I would make X dollars. If I got up in front of people, they paid to see me, I played my guitar or whatever I was going to play that night, they paid me X number of dollars. I figured out very quickly, if I sat down in a recording studio and I recorded the same music that I was going to play, took it out, played it in front of people, the ones who liked it would then buy CDs. So now I have just multiplied myself, or I wrote a script about myself that said, here, you can buy this script and I can sell it over and over and over, and I don't have to be there. I don't have to manually sing the song. You can buy the CD and listen to me sing. The same thing applies to scripts. If something breaks on one of your computer systems, we can write scripts, and we do right now, that says, roll back that computer to a time before when it did work correctly. Microsoft wrote the same thing and it doesn't work. It never has worked. Microsoft admits that the rollback does not work correctly. They don't know why. There are too many other factors that can come into play, is what they say. We spent the time and wrote the scripts, and they do work. So for instance, in the auditor's office, they can use Internet Explorer 11 to get onto the state programs. In the treasurer's office, they have to use Internet Explorer 10. Okay, who says that when the automatic updates come through from Microsoft, that the treasurer's office shouldn't get Internet Explorer 11 because it'll break their state programs? We do. We also know that in the recorder's office, they can use Firefox or Chrome, and there's only 11 versions of each of those out there. Which one works correctly? We test them, and we know. So that if something gets past us, we can actually write a script and say, hey, just in Humboldt County, on these 3 PCs, I want to roll back to Internet this, or to this version. That is huge, because before, if it broke something, we got to wipe your computer system out and start over. Let me go down that avenue for just a second, because it was one of my pet peeves when I came back, and it's one of the things that Greg told me to fix. He bought a computer system from me in June, because he still had money left over from last year. September, and he paid $600 for that computer system. September, the thing went wacky, something bad happened to it, one of these patches came through from Microsoft, broke it, terrible. We had to reload that system. It took us 6 hours to reload that system. Put it all back to the way it was, load all the root software all over again, configure all the printers, make sure everything was done. At $115 an hour, you do the math. That PC just cost you more than when you paid for it, okay? The hardware was covered by warranty, but software is not covered by warranty. A reinstallation of software is not. I found that out and I went, guys, that has to change. Because I heard this from all over the state. I bought a computer from you a year ago for $600. You guys just reloaded it and it cost me $700, and now it's a year old. What if it does it again? So we had to fix this. I can proudly stand here or sit here today and say that we've gone from 6 hours to 1 hour. Didn't have to, because we were making money at 6 hours. As you know, grain is $8 a bushel or whatever it is today. I'm making money from it. Tomorrow it's 4. I'm not making as much money. I was doing 6 hours available time, now I'm doing 1. I'm making less money. But my point on that is solutions point. Is it right for the client? Or is there another way that we can find to save you money? Yeah, it cuts into us, but if you save money in one place, you're going to spend it with us in another place, so we understand that. So let's make it sure that we're doing it correct. We also added a dispatch board, and I said earlier that sometimes we would go 2 weeks before we'd be able to get a hold of somebody. Let me explain that. At that point, I had 4 or 5 technicians on board, and we take care of close to 2,000 devices statewide, 2,000 PCs. Doesn't seem like a lot, but remember, each one of those PCs probably has 2 or 3 people that work on that PC. So now we're talking about 5,000 to 6,000 people. People call us on the telephone and say something's broke and we're in a break-fix mode. Oh my goodness. I'm already on the phone with somebody else. I've got 2 that I'm working on remotely. I've got 1 that's sending me an updated MSN Messenger message that they're broken, and I've got a whole list of things that I've still got to do. Put them in the voicemail, I'll call them right back. Put them in your voicemail. A little red light goes on your phone that says you have voicemail. You go back to work, you totally forget about that person because you got 12 other things. It's like farming. You got 12 other things that are happening in a 2-week span. You just forget about it. All of a sudden, somebody brings to your attention, yeah, you forgot to help that person change their password 2 weeks ago. Oh, yeah. So we put a person in dispatch. Every single call that comes into our office goes to that dispatch person. She prioritizes the call, creates a work order or a service order, we call it, and then follows it from beginning to end. She was given a cattle prod, an electric cattle prod, and said, if somebody doesn't listen to you, jab them with it. I was raised on a farm, I understand exactly how those things work, because my brother used to do it to me. It took less than 3 days for the guys to get the idea, oh, someone's gonna tell me that I have to do that again? We're now using the software to actually send us workflow messages, so we took the cattle prod away and just gave her a little rubber bat to hit people with, because we were getting, insurance was going up. But she now actually gets workflows, and I get a workflow. It has been an hour since this person had called in, and they have not had a technician who has been able to call them back. Escalated back to the dispatcher to say, why didn't somebody get to Peggy over at Humboldt? And everybody will go, well, I'm still on a call. And she can look at all the board and find out who's on calls and who's still on a call and what the priority levels are and what the categorizations are. And we found that all of a sudden we don't have enough guys. We just plain don't have enough guys. So we're going to outsource our level 1 and level 2 support. 80% of your calls come in as a level 1 or level 2 support call. Hi, this is Peggy, or your drainage clerk this morning who said, last Friday I changed my password, today is Monday, I can't remember it, I have to call you guys. Because she couldn't remember her password. It happens. It's one of those things. But I spend $10,000 a year on training my technicians, and I now have 7 of them, I'm gonna add 4 more. You do the math, that's what I spend on training them to be upper-level technicians who can do project management, network designs, server installations, and I'm paying them $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, $70,000 a year to go, oh, your password is Bob? Okay, let's change that to Robert today. I can't afford to do that, so I have to stipend it out. The good news for you guys is, it's now gonna go to a 24-hour a day, 7 days a week, 362 days a year. There's 3 days we're taking off. The 800 number that you're calling lowers your cost. Instead of calling long distance to us, it lowers your cost. Oh, now remember the ShamWow commercials. ShamWow. There's more. Since the majority of your calls are level 1 calls or level 2 calls, we're going to reduce the price of that. I love doing this dog and pony show because I can actually go to the boards of supervisors and say, we're giving you a free way to get a hold of us, we're lowering your cost on the majority of the things that you do, and we're making it 24/7. This is just a win-win-win situation for us and for you guys. Especially if you have a sheriff's office, and that was one of the reasons why we did that, are going to the 24/7. We've been taking on so many more sheriff's offices, or police departments, or 911 call centers, in government that need to be up 24/7. So, and the majority of the calls are, I forgot my password, or I can't access this server, or I can't do something. We dropped that price way down. On the other hand, we can't keep giving things away. So what we did was our level 3 and our level 4 went up. How often do you use level 3 and level 4? Not very often. They're usually very large projects. We're going to install a bunch of servers, we're going to install firewalls, we're going to do resubnetting of a bunch of different things in your network. Those are upper level, and I'm training the guys to do those tasks, because I pay to train those guys to do those tasks. But the other guys, I don't have to pay them as much to go, your password can be changed by, go ahead now, change your password, okay, you're good. Okay, we were also selling 100-hour contracts, like we sold to the state and to you folks. Some of the counties just don't need 100-hour contracts. They don't burn through them in an hour, in a year. We've always been of the understanding, and I fought for this again this year, that they don't expire. But we moved it down to, and it was discounted at 10%. So you bought 100 hours at $115, discounted 10%, so you actually paid $103.50 an hour. So 15-minute minimum still applies, always does, always will. It just takes guys that long to get back on track. But this year, we're gonna go to, starting July 1, a 5,000 credits instead. You can use the credits for level 1, 2, 3, or 4, so it reduces the price of all of your services from us on technical services. So if you know that your average in a 6-month period is approximately 20 hours with us, we know how many credits you're using. But we can actually discount that at 15% and give you a better price going forward. So when you do have a big project, and you're gonna have to spend more for the technician who's doing it, we can keep track of that better for you and go, we need to plan a little bit more ahead for that. It's all in proactive planning is what we're trying to get to.
Carry over, or is that paid ahead?
It carries over. Yep. You pay it, and then until you use it, it's still there. We never take it away from you. So there used to be 4 different plans of managed services, and each one of those had a little plus or a minus on them, so you could kind of configure them any way you want. I threw that all away with Greg. They locked me in a room with him for 3 days, and I said, no more. There are 3 plans. Bronze is if you have your entire IT staff. You guys do not have an IT staff. You guys fit into the silver plan. The only difference between the silver and the gold is the gold we lock you down and we charge you more for because we really become your IT department for real. It's called a CIO, virtual CIO, Chief Information Officer, and we are then in charge of helping you with your budgeting. We actually answer to the board and the department heads on what's going to be purchased, when it's going to be purchased. We do all the legacy planning for you, but it costs quite a bit more. And we lock all of the users down so they cannot make a change to their computers at all unless they call us. Most folks don't like that. In fact, when I started installing servers back in the year 2000, when I started the solutions, we had a state discussion with all the department heads and said, do you want to have local administrative authority so you can install something? So you don't have to call us. And everyone said yes. We haven't got anybody who's moved over to the gold yet, except in Nebraska. Iowa has not done it yet. But the only real problem with the silver plan versus the gold plan is you do have that local administrative authority. Let me explain that to you, real simple in layman's terms. When you have silver plan with us, you're a local admin on your computer system. You can install anything you want. So you hear on the internet about this really cool dancing pig screensaver, and you go, I gotta check that out. So you get on Facebook and you find out where it's at, and you find the link, and you just go, yeah, I want that really cute little Hampshire or Duroc dancing pig with a tutu to go across my screen whenever I've walked away for 5 minutes. Well, guess what? It's got a virus. Why do you think they're giving it away for free? Somebody who's being malicious. They want you to have that dancing pig, and as soon as the pig is done dancing, he flips through the bird, and your computer system plays. Very simply, that's what happens. As a local administrator, you have the rights to install that dancing pig. We don't take it away from you. We'll put software on there to try and help say, you really don't want to visit this website, or you really shouldn't do this. Are you sure you want to do this? But if you say yes, you can do it. If you want to take that away, we'll be glad to take that away from you, but it does cause a lot of HR headaches. People don't like it. So, dancing pig or no dancing pig, it's up to you folks. What is not covered by managed services? Windows XP or Windows Server 2003. We're a Microsoft, we used to be a Microsoft Gold partner, we've moved into the Silver arena now with those folks and said, you don't understand county government, Microsoft. You just don't. When you come out with a new operating system, you don't care whether or not this board of supervisors has to meet a budget, and they don't have the money budgeted to replace every computer in the place every year or every 18 months, every 2 years. They budget for 3 to 5 or 8 year cycle. Every time you obsolete some program of yours, that causes an undue burden. We are going to support them after you're done. That's always been okay until this point. Now, they've all of a sudden said, no, find another way to do it, because we've got too many government agencies who are getting nailed by viruses or whatever, and you guys need to step up to the bar and say to your clients, figure out a different way to do it. If there is no money, there is no way to do it, Microsoft. So we took that back to our drawing board and I went, there's gotta be a different way for us to do it. We did, came up with a different way, and it's called subnetting. We've been installing, when I came back 3 or 4 years ago, we started installing manageable switches, intelligent switches, in hopes that as you brought these intelligent switches, we would start doing subnetting, not really knowing all the reasons why we were doing subnetting. It's just that it was the new technology and we knew we'd start needing it someday. We need it now. If we have an XP box or a Windows Server 2003 and they're no longer supported by Microsoft, they have to come off the network. We have to make them go away. They're a security hole. They will bring in viruses whether you want them or not. Whether you click on something or not, they're a hole. So with subnetting, we just take and put that computer in its own little city, in its own little world, give it a connection to the internet, but it can't touch the rest of your computer systems. So it can't spread it back like a virus does. Microsoft said, oh, you guys are smart, that'll work. Best of both worlds. If we have to have a box that is unsupported by Microsoft, we can still support it for a while longer, so your budget can catch up with where the spending should be. What's not covered by managed services? If it's a new installation or a project, I can't guess what it's going to cost. I can give you an estimate. It's going to take 4 hours to install a PC. It's going to take 25 hours to install a server. It's going to take 6 hours to install a firewall. I can give you an estimate, but I can't give you I can't put managed services over the top of everything we do. I just can't do it because there's too many variables. The internet here is slower than the internet at the last place. The switches aren't up to date. Somebody wants a totally different setup than the last auditor did. There are a lot of things we can't. So if it says new or project, we're still gonna, we can't put underneath managed services. We're gonna charge you for it. But we are gonna keep that. The other thing we're going to, which is really important, since we're giving you that 800 number and it's 24/7, we're going to named users, or in other words, authorized users. Because I've had a couple of boards of supervisors go, okay, what's to keep somebody from the general public from saying, hi, this is Peggy from Humboldt County Auditor's Office, I need technical support, and the bill comes here. Bill goes to Solutions and we send the bill on. How do we verify that that's Peggy who's actually calling? First of all, you become a named user or an authorized user in our system, and you're going to get a security PIN, or it's very similar to the financial system, some security thing that is just yours that you would only know. So you're not going to get bills from outside someplace by somebody hacking your system. We went the financial route on that. The other thing we did, we wanted to lower your cost. You'll have to excuse me, but I'm an old Blackfoot Indian. I do not understand the white man's methods sometimes, and I'll be the first person to say that. It's very similar to daylight savings time. Only the white man's government could figure out that if you take and cut a foot off the top of a blanket and sew it to the bottom of the blanket, you have a longer blanket. I just don't get that one, but that's okay. I also didn't get the fact that we were charging you for something that was happening automatically on your systems. The software we used before, and I sat and argued with them for months, if it had an address on your network, an actual physical address, an IP address, we got billed for it. Okay. If we got billed for it, you got billed for it. Exactly a printer. Every modern printer for the last 6 years, when you install the printer, it now gives you a little message at the bottom that says, hey, you're almost out of ink. Hey, you're out of paper. Hey, I can't communicate with that. It automatically lets you know. Guess what? It automatically lets us know in our system, too, that you're out of ink or you're out of paper. My point to my text was, are we actually sending out emails to Peggy saying they're out of paper? And at one point, we were. It's like, stop it. Stop it. Stop charging them for those devices that automatically do things. We don't have to manage them. Greg stopped me and said, wait a second, though, I want to manage them. And I went, okay, why? And he explained it to me. If I've got 20 printers in this facility and 20 users, and all of a sudden we notice that all printers are down because they've been subnetted into the network, all printers are down, our call volume is going to go, just like that, and I wanna make sure that I have the technicians on site or at our location, who can go, fix the subnet, don't fix each individual printer, fix the subnet, find the root of it, fix that. Greg went, that's exactly what we need to do. So we eliminated charging you for the printers and a lot of other devices. We went from 50 devices last year, we're dropping it down to 30 devices, which saves you money. We don't have to pay for those. We're going to pay for them because we want to know, but we negotiated a smaller price for us because we said we're not going to charge them to the customer. We're like, oh, the idiots, you should. Everybody else does. It's like, we're working with county government. We have a budget. We have to keep within that budget. So what we're looking at is we're increasing the end-user assistance and support for named users with an 800 number, which saves you money, 24/7. So if Peggy's out at Isaac, you guys were at Isaac last week, some of you probably. You're at Isaac, you're at a motel room, and you have VPN capabilities to come back into the computer system here, run your computer from wherever you're at, and you have to get a report done because somebody's going to come in the next morning and ask for that report, and you can't get logged in. You can call the 800 number from wherever you're located. If you got access to a telephone and the internet, they'll be able to take care of you, 24/7, 362.
So Peggy can work 24/7?
24/7 is what we're doing. Shoot, 4 days off like that. Now, the assessor, I don't think, she's gonna be quite as amenable, but I think Peggy might go for that. Faster remediation of end-user problems increases productivity. Remember, that person who was waiting for that 2-week-old phone call that the guy forgot to make, stood there at the counter when somebody was waiting for him or her to do something. I got that down to a week. I got it down to 8 hours, I got it down to 4 hours, I got it down to a 1-hour SLA, which is the service level agreement. I want these customers called back within an hour. When you call our level 1 or level 2 support, now, with the 800 number starting in July 1, you will have a technician who can help you with your problem on the line in 90 seconds. 90 seconds versus 1 hour, 4 hours, 8 hours a week, 2 weeks, means you guys are much more productive.
When you outsource that, is that still local, or do you outsource it?
We're outsourcing it to Canada.
Okay.
Speaking English only. No foreign countries whatsoever. Well, yeah. Different Montreal.
French Canadian.
They're French Canadian. You might hear an A every now and then, but it's not gonna be like, well, think of it, it was proposed today, It's not. It's English, very good English speaking, and we've tested them, so we know. You have a pool of specific techs also that will always be working with you. It's the Solutions Outsourced Group. So you're not gonna get Bill today and Fred tomorrow and never hear from either one of those guys again. We wanted to make sure, because people like Peggy and other people in other counties had said, but I get used to working with 1 or 5 people, and that's who I want to call. We're trying to keep that thing going, because we know that once we know what your problems are, we don't want to start training everybody what your specific problems are. We want that core group to know what it is. If we can decrease the number of unmanageable devices or ones that automatically give us messages, we're going to reduce your overall technology costs. We're going to come in, though, and we're going to reorganize your network resources so that we use those switches correctly, and we subnet things out so that we can get to the point where an entire group of something went down and it's because of a specific thing, a point of failure versus 20 points of failure. We can make things go faster that way. And someone, one of the board of supervisors last week said, okay, but wait a second, single point of failure is always a red flag to me. If I only have one tractor and that tractor goes down, I can't do any of my field work. Single point of failure. And we went, right, you have a single point of failure. But we have redundant points of failure, not a single point of failure. You have 2 switches. That's what we put in. So if one does absolutely go down, who are your core people? What's the return time to objective? Which means who has to be back to work? Put those people into the switch that has to be working. Put them in there. Faster mitigation of problems by better management of your network. It's just, common sense does not always rear its ugly head. It takes a while. We're not going to go through this an awful lot, this planning for the future, but I do want to bring up something. Like I said before, Solutions we spend $10,000 per employee on our technical side a year for training. so that you guys don't have to. We also spend hundreds, and I'm not kidding, hundreds of thousands of dollars on research and development. We're running VDI systems, virtual device systems, in our office right now and trying to figure out the best ones to use, and we've been doing it for about 4 or 5 years. One of the guys, one of the IT people, Scott Williams from Marshall County, put this presentation on, and I'm not putting Scott down at all. He's a great guy, but he actually said these things, and I'll expand on them here. The last paragraph says, Marshall County purchased their first VDI system in 2009. Didn't work. They purchased their second product in 2010. Didn't work. What doesn't say on here is they didn't do it they had problems in 2011, 2012, 2013, and 2014. It's now 2015, and they've got VM, Horizon View, and adding Teradici PC over IP. They're doing research and development like a software company or a technical company does. Our last understanding, and what we heard from their public reports that were posted to the internet, is they've spent almost $500,000 on this project. If I worked as an IT person or an IT company for Marshall County, I should be fired. That's my job to do that, not your job. That should not come on county dollars to spend. They should have an IT company in there who's willing to do that for them and put in some of the research and development time. We do that for our clients all the time. So if you're thinking of a project, or you have some project looming that's technology-based, ask us. Please ask us. We've probably already done the research on it, or can do the research 10 times faster and with no cost to you on research and development. We do those kinds of things. I feel bad for Marshall County because they know they want to do this and they think it's the best thing, but boy, they're spending a lot of money. It's just too much. Moving things to the cloud. Yes, we are moving things to the cloud. Should the county start moving things to the cloud? Probably in the next 5 years, we're going to start talking pretty heavily about moving things to the cloud. But your internet has to be very, very fast. The net neutrality rules that are coming out now from the government are going to change some things. We'll see how it all shakes out. We are not suggesting you guys go to the cloud yet at this point. The first cloud that you should go to is a backup and disaster recovery cloud, which, Peggy, have you guys purchased data from us? I don't even know.
Yes, we just did.
Perfect. That's the first thing to do. After that, we'll start looking at Solutions actually hosting your iSeries over in Spencer, so you don't have to buy an iSeries. That'll be coming down the road. We're actually doing that in some other locations right now.
Setting aside some money to upgrade, so.
Perfect. You'll probably upgrade at least one more time before we get to that point. But eventually we will get to the cloud. It's true. So as a developer, a reseller, a service provider, Solutions tries to provide everything that we possibly can. Once again, being the professionals in all things local government. That's what we do, is local government, not Bill's House of Computers downtown or anything like that. So here are the rest of the folks from everyone at Solutions. Thank you for your time today. It's Greg Davis up there, myself, Alara Nielsen, our CFO. If you ever call our office, the 31st receptionist you're going to get is Bridget. She's the one who says, "Thank you for calling Solutions. This is Bridget. How may I help you?" I can't shorten that word "thank" up. She just, "Thank you." She's just a sweet kid. Becky, who's moved back from Arizona, she works with our auditor stuff. She's in Iowa again. Yeah, Becky's been with us quite a while, and she's really good in the auditor side. JT, the fellow there, Jeremy Thielen, he's new. He's an assessor's application support person. Linda Manwarden is our treasurer's application support. She's been with us for 15 years probably. Deb Cout's been with us close to almost 20 years. She does assessors and recorders. And then we've got Zach Ramsey and Jeremy Pratt, a couple of our sales guys. So that's the other thing. You can always get a hold of me via email. I'm melg@gmdsolutions.com. You can go visit our website, it's there. But if you ever want to send something to management at Solutions, you can always send it to info@gmdsolutions.com. If you think that something isn't getting done and you don't want to go through the normal channels of support or help or whatever, you can do that. So thank you guys. If you have any questions, let me know.
I got a real fast question.
You bet.
Probably a different program, but I sat through the insurance presentation down the one video, I think it was Anyway, Obamacare starts in 2016, it's gonna be a nightmare in county. Is that a spreadsheet we get from you, or we get that from the insurance company?
They're working on.
Yes. In fact, we just sent out an email not long ago. The reports that you have to have in 2016 will be part of our package. You're not gonna be charged for it, they will just be part of the package.
Gonna take a full-time person, like this.
On your side, yes, on our side, we program this, make the form, here's the form, perfect, fill in the fields, boom, done. Our side will do, and we're not gonna charge you for that, it's gonna be part of the core package. Because it's a mandated federal government thing, so it's part of our package.
What are we on right now?
The only thing that I really have to do is sit down with Peggy here afterwards, and it doesn't have to be today, but we have to go through that named user list, and we have to go through the devices so she knows which ones we're not doing any longer, and then take a look at those things. And we don't have to do that today. We can if you want, but you don't have to do it today.
Okay.
Price-wise, we've added all these features. Your price, I think, is gonna be about the same or going up a very, very small amount.
Okay.
If there is an increase, it's gonna be offset immediately by the telephone number and the lowering of all the prices. It may be a little bit larger price to go into it, but, and the subnetting's gonna cost you a little bit to get that all done. But once it's done, the network should run smoother, better, cleaner, faster, and everybody should just be...
So we cut the top of the blanket off.
We're throwing it on the bottom of the blanket, yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, you know, it's nice for us as supervisors, because Peggy's always saying how nice you guys are to work with, and it's nice to kind of go through this with us.
Yeah, and that's why we're not gonna do it.
understand it all, but it's pretty clear that you're evolving all the time and making changes to probably benefit county governments. And we are a unique system compared to the other business worlds. And
Yeah.
a lot of times Peggy, you know, we don't, anytime she wants to call, you get a good response to everybody. You've never really had a problem.
And if that ever changes, I need to know.
And hopefully not too many, a lot of people are calling me changing passwords, but...
I hear a lot of horror stories when I'm at meetings and stuff about the competition. Either they don't have the product in place that Solutions already has, or they're way behind on calling you back, or getting an answer, or something like that. We've never had that issue with these guys. Usually, it's not, hey, do you have this in the system? It's, yeah, we've had it for months, why didn't you ask for it, you know?
Let me show you how it works.
But they're way ahead.
Well, I think the fact that you've been going since '86 and still business is developing and changing, that probably speaks well to your company.
And they sit in on a lot of our meetings, like when we have a meeting with the state, when we were doing business property tax credits. I don't know what we would've done without Deb Cowd and everybody else that was working on that group, because they were there with daily updates on, you know, this has changed now, or you need to do this now, and, yeah, they were right there helping us.
They just did the website stuff for the state, the reporting stuff, and we heard statistics from the ISAC meeting that Solutions counties had 20% errors, competition, and I'm not talking bad against them, I'm just saying these are the statistics we were told had 80% errors.
Wow.
So, I think that tells you that we really listened to what they said. And honestly, we put in $250,000 on that project already, and we're not being reimbursed for it. But it affects the assessor's office, the auditor's office, and treasurer's, and it's taxation, which means it goes directly out to your end users, your constituents. It better be right in our system, period. So we're gonna make it right. Did we spend too much money on it? Will we spend too much money on it? Yes. And if the state screws around much longer, we're gonna get really mad at them, but, yeah.
They're still working on their system.
Oh, yeah.
The bugs worked out of theirs, so.
And they changed their mind, you know.
I basically worked with people down your booth in ISAC there, and we're dealing with new LEC, and we're looking at a new dispatch center.
Yep.
And he says they have vendors that provide the equipment, the console panels and that.
Yeah.
I was shocked at what some of these things cost, so we're gonna look at maybe some price comparisons.
Are you gonna be able to come April 29th to Evolution IT and meet a bunch of these guys?
Well...
April 29th, and I'll send out another message to everybody here too. April 29th is our Evolution IT. When I was in IT, every 2 years we did a training session for our users who had, that's when Julie was still here. When we had smart hands and smart eyes and people, they'd come and learn new technology from the techs who were actually doing it. Now we actually bring in the vendors that we buy from, the big switching companies, the people who build the racks that you have to use in a law enforcement center, fiber people, people who do VoIP, we bring those in. We're not making any money off them, but you need to ask those guys questions, because you're gonna ask us and we go, we don't do that. I mean, that's the law enforcement center. We'll support it, we'll make sure that the services get installed, but you have to make the decisions. Well, does that mean I have to go out to 25 different locations and talk to 25 different people? No. Evolution IT tries to bring a lot of those people together for like law enforcement centers, where you have to have a bunch of different pieces of equipment. Here's a way to do it, here's to bring you guys in to talk to those guys directly, not a salesman, you know, one of our sales guys. You're actually getting to talk to the people who go, what are you gonna use it for? Oh, no, you don't want that. Here, wait a second, you can use this much better and it'll be this much cheaper. Plus, each one of those guys, if you say you're from government, we tell them all the time our customers are government, but if they see a government person, they immediately go into government mode. Remind me when I'm done talking to you, they'll tell you that there's a government discount on this, and I wanna make sure that you get to take advantage of it. So if Solution sells it, or whatever vendor you're buying this from, make sure that they get the government, you know, benefit of being in government. So you get to talk to those vendors. I highly recommend it. It's in Ankeny, Iowa, April 29th. It's on Wednesday, I do believe. Starts at 7:30 in the morning is registration. We'll be out of there by 4:30 in the afternoon. There's breakout sessions all day long. It costs $40, but we provide you morning snack, dinner, and an afternoon snack.
And then the next day, they have this technology job.
Yes, they have, that's the one that's going to be put on. That is basically about security only, just security. We manage your security, so that, it'd be nice to go, but I think it's gonna be over most board of supervisors' heads, about 10 miles.
Try to scare it to death.
Yeah, they're gonna tell you how bad things are.
Just 10 miles above it.
Yeah.
We're in trouble.
I went to the last IT conference that you had, and it was very good. My first look ever at voice over IP, because I hadn't really seen what it was, and I didn't want to go into too much detail with the salesman, because I didn't know how the board would be receptive for it right yet. So, you know, I think eventually we'll get there.
Yeah.
But,
But it's the
but there were
evolving
other products
technology.
too, you could really,
Yeah.
see it.
Anything that's gonna happen new, it doesn't mean we're gonna buy it or sell it to you, but it's the new things that are happening. Remember when I said we put in switches 5 years ago, planning for you guys now? We're trying to slowly, so when we say to you, we think we should put in this switch, or we think we should put in this firewall, we're trying to proactively plan for you 2 years, 3 years, 5 years down the road. And by having these guys come in and actually explain their new gizmos to you is really sometimes good. You can go, we can't use that. And then all of a sudden, 3 years from now, you go, dang, yeah, that would come in handy now.
Yeah.
Paul, our engineer's got a question for you.
I'm not, through Peggy working 24/7 had some thoughts for me, because that would infer that we can hook in through the Wi-Fi like in a motel, and you can hook on, and I thought that was a forbidden process to get on the AS400, was to go through anything that was through the air versus through a solid line.
It is not a forbidden process, it is a privilege response.
So we could have Wi-Fi in the courthouse here, for instance.
Yeah. Now, your Wi-Fi in the courthouse will be broken into 2 segments. One would be a public Wi-Fi, same device, one would be public and one would be on your network.
Because a few years ago, we were trying to be able to access the AS400 from an individual's home, and that was a problem from a security standpoint at that point.
The first hurdle we have to get past is you have to get permission from the Board of Supervisors to make sure that you can VPN from an outside source with a county piece of equipment back in. You can't just hop on their PC at their house and do it, because you don't know what's coming in.
Well, it was, yeah.
But it was
And
the
I'm not aware
county
that
piece to do that.
We were working with Raleigh on that, and it was not, anyway, something was security concerns, and I am obviously concerned when they can hack into Hollywood and Target, they can hack into Humboldt County.
Yeah, exactly. But we have ways of doing that now.
Good, if we need it down the road. This was to do payroll, would have been convenient for us to be able to do it from home. But,
Well, thank you,
I don't
Matt.
want to do payroll, that's...
You don't want to do payroll?
Thank you very much.
Thanks for coming
We hear
out.
about solutions all the time, now we know what Peggy's talking about.
Yeah.
So how do the, you know, like Polk County, some of these big counties, it's got their own IT people. So the state comes out like this property tax stuff, are they trying to write the programs themselves, so they're inventing a wheel, Lee County's inventing a wheel, Johnson County's doing the same thing?
They gotta find...
You know, I go to these meetings and I think, boy, we're really being left out, because we don't have an IT staff. Now I think, we're lucky we don't.
Yeah, like, we're ahead of the game. Sometimes it works that way. It kinda gets back to the point you made. There's a person that needs to be busy, or they don't need that IT person, so they're gonna create work, just like the lady that was in the two departments.
Netflix movie instead.
Yeah. I mean, what do people do? Either work, or you're gonna find something to entertain yourself.
Yeah.
If it's any comfort, I'm not on the AS400, so I can still watch the NCAA's on the computer.
Till we shut that off.
There we go.
You can't get to me.
Well, we have other ways.
Never tell a technology person you can't get to them. No. That wouldn't be good.
Thank you very much.
Thank you guys
That's your
for being
presentation.
on too.
Thanks, Matt.
I think the first year we ever had this, isn't it? Come in and talk to us, we appreciate it.
Yeah, well, you know, especially if there are new people on boards too, because we always go out and do new training for new department heads. You know, when an elected official gets, we send our folks out to say, okay, you're gonna have all kinds of questions and problems. But we really don't do this when we get new board of supervisors, and it's one of the things I've added to my schedule, so that whenever there's an election, I'm gonna go out and talk to those people. I get to see at ISAC, or the board of supervisors meeting, the annual meeting there, that it's come and go real quick, and, you know, you really have to pandy when you come to our booth, that's about it with him.
That's right.
That's the candy. It was a nice addition with the Baby Bell cheese this year.
Oh, they got Baby Bell cheese? Well, they were supposed to have cuties, bananas, apples,
Oh, they did have, yeah.
and stuff, yeah.
Mhm.
I have dropped, I have lost over 200 pounds in 18 months.
Way to go.
Seriously?
Amazing.
200 pounds, yeah,
I hope you and I, Rick, but I don't know.
I think I found some of it.
My wife became a professional runner, and she said, you wanna fool around, you gotta catch me.
Put a challenge up.
Well, I went on something, it's a medically managed diet, it's called the Ideal Protein, it was done by a Frenchman. And if I adhere to it really well, and I see a doctor every week, and if I adhere to it really well, I can lose 7 pounds in a week, and not be hungry, and not be tired, and I don't have to exercise. That was a big thing, I'm lazy.
Sounds like we don't like the exercise part.
Yeah.
So we eat more protein?
I have 8 ounces of meat a day, I have 400 calories a day, not very much. 400 calories a day. The average-
I can see why you're losing weight.
It's not even a Snicker bar, a Snicker bar is like 1,200, I think. Yeah, very few, no carbs, no.
Very expensive.
No, when I actually did the math, at first it was like, holy bucks, these things are, it's a box of 7 and they're $28 a piece, and I gotta have 3 meals a day, that's 21 of these a week? Holy crap, that's a lot of, no. After I had been on it for about 3 months, I sat down with my calculator and my wife, and I went, okay, and then I had a hamburger, and then I had popcorn, and then I had a candy bar, and a bottle of pop, and then we went and got $250 worth of groceries, and half of that went, you know, we threw it away. It was all sugar, and we didn't eat half of it, and, oh yeah, then we went out to eat twice. Now I eat lettuce, rutabagas, turnips, buffalo, and that's about it. And I could do it.
You haven't lost your energy level, huh?
No, no.
He's getting closer to catching it.
I'm getting close to catching it, yeah.
You want to level...
He's running faster, I'll tell you that.
You do want to level off sometime, I hope.
Yes, I had a goal that I wanted to get down to 200, and I am at 206 right now. So I'm
Oh,
just
my
about there.
goodness.
Yeah, I got a grandson that I did not think I was going to get. He's kind of a miracle child. She had surgery, and we didn't think that she was ever going to have kids. And my other daughter will never, she's already said I'm never going to have kids, so it's like, thank God you're not going to reproduce, but my first one did, so we got a grandson, and I decided I wanted to be able to get up and down and chase him around and have him chase me.
Yep.
It's a good point.
It's fun. So you can do almost anything, even when you're, I'm proving it, even when you get old. Do you have, today, just a little while?
I was gonna say, if you wanna stick around a little bit.
Yeah, I'm gonna go out, I've gotta answer some phone calls that are coming in, and then I'll come back in about 15 minutes or so and we'll sit down.
Sounds good.
Perfect.
Thank you.
I'm so impressed, an IT comes with a little projector and a screen.
Usually we look for these.
I'm surprised we didn't have a chalkboard.
No, we look for the new TV sets, the smart TV sets all over the place, because I can wirelessly send this together, but it's like, I like those.
It's so simple.
Yeah, I just like those.
It's gonna work.
Okay, great. Thanks again for your time, I really do appreciate taking the time to...
Oh, that's very
Good information. Very good.
Well, I think we're down to, committee reports.
Oh, sure. Okay, committee report. All right, Wednesday county report day, of course, that was the 11th. We went down to the Wallace Building at 9 and had a short meeting. We didn't have as much to talk about this year, of course, because of clapping happiness for the fuel tax being done, so that left, less conversation on that. We went down to Capitol and, walked around a little bit. We didn't get to meet too much with our representatives. They were pretty busy. There was a lot of votes going on that day. I think we missed them when they had a break, but... And then, of course, the ISAC meeting was on the 12th and 13th, and I'll just touch on the one meeting, because everybody else can add to it, but... The one we had in courthouse security was kind of interesting. Rick and I sat in on that one the first day. Maybe some of the other guys did too, but... it was interesting to see that some of the things we've implemented, like the cameras, is kind of a good first start, and, having, even though I don't enjoy the cost of having the sheriff's department send somebody up there, if you don't have somebody like that, I guess I'd come back with, if you don't have somebody in there, the things that you need to do to secure that courthouse get to be costly too. You should keep it locked during the day. You basically should have cameras, you should have, people going in the courtroom looking for devices that could be placed in there. So, in some ways, maybe having one of Dean's men sit there isn't gonna be the ultimate highest cost way to do things. And how do you protect for all these things? When they tell all these stories of things that have happened, yeah, they all can happen, but, you just hope they never do in your county is what you always hope. And we're too small, this should never happen, but it kinda keeps happening all the time, so. And, I don't know, I'll let you guys add to the rest of the meetings, but I kinda enjoyed that. I think we are doing some things, and I think we're trying to save the money. We can't just go out and install everything that it takes, and landscaping was part of it. We've updated our landscaping, cleaned it up, got it away from the buildings, and there were some things on locations of wells for fuel and propane lines and stuff, and barriers around that. Even that can become a problem if someone wants to drive into it, but, you just hope people don't go to these extremes that has happened, but I do
Too much
think...
of it was awareness.
Yeah.
Just being aware.
Just being aware.
Point out things you need to look at.
Yeah.
Even when somebody comes to your county, or your counter pay, it was interesting, just
Yeah.
what signs to look for, and possibly have a code word, that get me this red file, and to alert somebody else to maybe get help up here. And I guess the main thing is to be more active, and if you think there's something wrong, don't wait till something happens. There's nothing wrong with calling for somebody to come in to de-escalate a situation, so.
A couple of things I picked up from that meeting was, once you don't open the door, people have to come to work.
Yeah.
Open at 5:30 in the morning, why do that in the morning?
Having the custodian open the door at 6:30, then it's open till 8:30.
And some of your doors, like our south door, could be egress rather than
Right,
come in.
just one way
And you
out.
need to lock up your, furnace room and your,
Yeah,
all
those
those
are
kind of things that you don't think about.
He had some good points, and they didn't cost a lot of money to change some of those things, so. Rick, it's all yours.
Well, I went to county day and ISAC meetings, and, I'm gonna leave something for these guys to talk about. And then Saturday, I swept the courthouse parking lot.
Looks good, by the way.
Swept the sand all up, rented a sweeper from a guy in the county here, and put it on the skid loader, and spent about 3 hours sweeping the parking lot, and hopefully that'll help keep tracking the sand in.
Couldn't get too many down.
Yeah, well, actually, my son done it, I stood and watched him. I went around with the broom and swept around the edges and around the drains, and went and got him a pot.
I hear you sent him an email, said you did sweep this courthouse yard on Saturday, you didn't make it too funny?
He didn't respond.
Well, he told me he was gonna do it with a broom and a shovel. So, go ahead.
I really don't have much to add to it, that EOC meeting, that all elected officials on that board, except the director, main guy, he isn't an elected official. I don't know. Aren't you supposed to all be elected officials on
For what?
that? Mayors and a supervisor on the EOC board, Emergency Operations Center.
I don't know what you're talking about, Mort.
You're talking about the Caldwell board?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the mayors and the sheriff and, county supervisor.
They're all elected officials except Pat.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe
That's the employee.
He's
Yeah,
appointed.
He's employed, but it says it's supposed to be all elected officials, but it's not then, but...
What do you got, Harlan?
Well, we had county a day on Wednesday, and then the supervisors met, that evening, supervisors, Carl and I, and kinda went over what was going on and making plans for, fall school a little bit, and so forth. And then Thursday at, 7:30, I had, well, I forget all the abbreviation, it used to be the County Case Management Board, and, we had a couple more counties drop off of that, so they're gonna, in June, they're gonna have to decide who to put back on to replace them. And I got the impression that by the time the state's done with their bidding and so forth, that whole thing will be gone, it'll be a private. But there's about several $100,000 in the county case management kitty. So I asked Brad Holden, I says, according to 2080 agreement, you know, it goes back to ISAC. And I says, is that the case where the last counties there get to split that up? So there was really no answer to that, because, you know, we've all contributed to that over the years, so I don't know how ISAC is gonna handle that. And then we have the spring school, and, being past president, I got to hand out a scholarship to that nice young gal from Belmont, Iowa, that,
She was a
well deserving, and it's quite an honor to be able to do that. As far as spring school, I think everything went well, we had good sessions, a lot of information there, so, that's all.
I pretty much followed the same route these fellows did. However, Monday evening, I had a workforce development meeting in Fort Dodge, which was pretty routine. Then we did everything that the other guys talked about. Had some good speakers, I think, up and down. One of them was kinda scaring us about technology and the hackers and these kind of things, which I kinda think has become more prevalent. Little such things as, they talk about dropping one of these thumbnails, things you plug in your
Flash drive.
flash drives out on the street, and you pick it up and plug it in your computers for curiosity's sakes. It may be some hacker getting into your computer, so there's all kinds of criminals out there trying to get to you. One of the other interesting meetings I went to was the very last part of the speakers. We had USDA and watershed people talking. We had Jim Gillespie and Mary Atkins there, and I happened to be sitting out front. It was kind of fun to watch. They put a map up there like we did here, and the first part of the program was watershed areas in basically southeast and southwest Iowa. I watched those people, most of it, and went to sleep. And the last half was about drainage. Those people woke up in the other part. So it's a matter of what's interesting to your group. You have to keep these topics to something that's going to interest everybody, because not everyone's the same. And then Saturday morning, I went down to City Hall, and we had Sexton and Cranberg there again. They was here for an hour. Talked about basically the same things we talked about down on the hill. What is the US and Highway 20, and what we're gonna do with the road use fund, and those kinds of things. Some of the guys got real angry because they thought all the money from the 10-cent gas was gonna go to Des Moines. They tried to convince them there is a formula, the cities get some, the counties get some. But some of the people think that's all going to 235 through Des Moines. They just don't understand it. Then if you guys have time, would like, I got Bill Peterson and Lucas coming up to talk at Rotary the 24th